You know, I've often said here on the show that the royals are very, very pivotal in the way that we shape certain things in our lives, whatever we think or not. And this has gone back centuries, you know. When you think about the parties that they certainly held at Kensington and Buckingham Palace, this was, of course, all the ladies in their day deciding, well, we need to hold similar parties as well. So suddenly you got very big mansions built with ballrooms. Yes, ballrooms in houses, can you imagine? But this is because, of course, they all had these wonderful get-togethers, soirees that, of course, the great and the good were invited to. It's called showing off, right? Now, it took me to this particular story, which got me thinking exactly about how the royals, literally, certain royals at least, like to be in with the in thing. Who remembers this brilliant man? That's right, the late and I thought terrifically entertaining David Nixon. A TV magician that was never off our screens throughout the 60s, 70s, and of course right through to the latter part of the 80s with many repeats of his wonderful shows. I was lucky enough to meet a lot of people who worked with David Nixon along the way, and he was a terrific royal favourite. Anita Harris was his assistant on television, and she told me a lot of fun was had while making those shows. It's fascinating because now he's possibly, and I don't mean this rudely, but almost forgotten, yet he was a staple of everything that we saw, say, over Christmas, New Year, summer seasons, that sort of stuff. And as I say, a particular royal favourite with private performances at Windsor and Buckingham Palace. That's how popular he was. But it's fascinating to think that it was this particular thing that has really kept him back in the limelight. And more importantly, when you think about it, he kind of broke a lot of rules. You see, here's David backing this instrument, the mellotron. Now, the mellotron might not seem anything to you and I, but it really was groundbreaking in its period. Now, the band leader, Eric Robinson, and David teamed up and were alleged backers of this particular, what we now call today a synthesizer, you know, but at a very basic level. And it could make all the fabulous noises that people loved. People who were influenced by this were none other than the Beatles. In fact, they sampled and used a mellotron on their mega smash Strawberry Fields Forever. Likewise, people like Manfred Mann and numerous 60s groups suddenly jumped on this, all inspired by that man, David Nixon. So where do the royals fit in? Well, as I said to you, David Nixon was a firm favourite, you know, particularly with Prince Charles and Princess Anne, who were beguiled by all of those magic tricks. And he was a brilliant magician, let me tell you. He inspired so many people when you think about it, because we look at people today, and who remembers, of course, people like Wayne Dobson and stuff like that. They were all inspired by this man. He got his break, really, entertaining ladies in Mayfair. No, but of course at after parties, you see what I mean? He went round tables, sleight of hand, that sort of thing, and was just wonderful. And that's how he got his royal connection, as I say, at the Royal Variety performances and then privately. But this lady, Princess Margaret, always at the forefront of everything that was going on hip and happening, well, she took purchase of a mellotron. And this was what really made the whole thing explode. Literally, it brought it, as I say, to the attention of the Beatles because they met her and all that sort of stuff. And then many, many thousands were sold around the world. It went out of fashion as other things came in, but now it's back in fashion again. Even, of course, recently being used by Oasis, the band, on one of their sounds to replicate that authentic 60s sounding, well, you know, unique sort of plot, as it were, that they put on those records. So when you think about it, you know, it's very strange, isn't it? But the moment that Princess Margaret said, oh, I like that, I think I'll have one of those, and as ever, she was particularly groundbreaking, let's be honest, well then they were able to not exactly get an endorsement, but at least leak it out that one had been delivered to a royal residence, and everybody knew who that was. As I say, Mr. Nixon and Margaret and all the rest of them, they basically became a group, because all thanks to him, as I say, and the esteemed band leader, Eric Robertson, well, the bottom line was, yeah, they changed the face of music. Even today, everything is inspired by this particular invention. Not bad, eh? Neil Sean in the very heart of London.